Hey, welcome back. My name is Muffin Von Flufferton, and my puppy on the floor over there is Sarah Jessica Barker. And today we're going to discuss Season 20, Episode 16. It's the first tell-all. The Brown family sits down and discusses the awkwardness of their last meeting at Coyote Pass. Kody and Janelle argue about who is responsible for the potential of a backdoor deal, and Meri speaks her truth and will not be silenced. All right, let's get into it. Welcome to the podcast, Sister Wives, a red flag rewatch. This is the podcast for disenchanted fans of Sister Wives, fans who fell in love with the Brown family, watched their precious kids grow up, and became enchanted with all the love, only to be told it was all a lie. Nothing was as it seemed. We were bamboozled, fooled, duped, tricked, conned, swindled, hoodwinked. What did we miss? Where did it go wrong? Come help me find out as we watch from the beginning. So before I get into the transcript and everything that was said, I wanted to do some Sister Wives news. Christine's dad passed away on January 8th, Rex Clark. He passed away. Without a crystal ball, figured out that Kody and Robyn took out an equity line of credit on their new house on the McMansion 2.0, $750,000 home equity line of credit. It's kind of like getting a debit card with $750,000 on it. Doesn't feel like a very smart thing to do because I feel like they're going to go right through that. I don't know. That's crazy. Dr. Adam from Sister Wives Professor, he did interview Sookie. That was interesting. That's pretty neat that he got to talk to her. Some of the key takeaways from that podcast was Sookie said that, quote unquote, Kody is neurodivergent. She says it's hard to keep him on task, and her only goal is just to keep him on the couch. Keep him on the couch. Keep him on the couch. And she says they filmed tell-alls for 3 days straight, from 4 a.m. to 7 p.m. Most of that is primarily director meetings where they're telling her what she's going to ask. She says that the Browns are able to pick their own interviewer. She says that she has seen them text each other on the couch the questions that she's asking. I wonder who's texting who. She didn't say, but she says they do text each other the questions that she's asking. She says that she watches the shows, but I don't think that she keeps up with the social media aspect. I think she only knows information that's presented to her. So you'll see like little things. She didn't know Kody could do a handstand. Well, he only really did a handstand one time in season 1. And that was on the beach when he was on his honeymoon with Robyn. So that does kind of make us frustrated because we're like, how do you not know that? How do you not know this stuff? I don't think she keeps up with the social media. That's frustrating. But yeah, Christine's dad did pass away on the 8th. Janelle's mom has passed away. Meri's mom has passed away. Janelle is still alive. Kody's mom is still alive. And Annie, Christine's mom, is still alive. She's probably going to live to be 110. But I don't know. And one of my frustrations with these tell-alls is TLC has more power than they're enforcing here. Why don't they use it? Why don't they confront them more? Why did they ask Kody and Robyn, why were you an hour late? Why? That was the reason they're saying that they didn't get out of the car is because they had been waiting for an hour. And they never brought that up to Kody and Robyn. I mean, I don't understand why they didn't bring it up. And when Kody says, I've been talking to the kids. Say, what kids have you been talking to? Name names. They don't do that. They don't ask big questions. They don't ask Robyn about her Etsy account. Why didn't TLC bust in their house and say, show us your dolls? Show us your doll room. You know, show more of the statues and the pictures. Just take inventory. And I don't understand why TLC doesn't exercise their authority more. Because they do have power over Kody and Robyn. They could just not pay them. And if they don't pay them, then they are screwed. I don't understand why TLC is not doing more. And I think what would solve the whole thing, and they won't ask this question, we could just shut it down, case solved, done, is to do a financial study of Coyote Pass and go, okay, everybody shut up and listen. I got 2 questions. How much did you owe on Coyote Pass? And how much did each person pay in to pay off that debt? That's it. That's all you need to know. If Meri paid this amount, Kody paid this amount, Robyn paid this amount, and you sell the land, you should get a direct proportion of what you paid for the land back. Whatever percentage you paid to pay off the debt of the land, that's what you get back. with the percentage of the profit on that part. I don't understand why they're not talking about who paid off the debt. Makes no sense to me why there's all these questions and Kody's making these statements of we weren't legally entitled to pay her anything. And part of this is Meri's fault. At some point, she had to have signed something agreeing to the original cut of the land. She only owned like 1/14 of the land. She had to have signed something somewhere saying that that was okay. I know she was probably trying to just appease Kody or whatever. That makes no sense to me. And another thing that happened was that Mindy, remember Mindy? Robyn's old nanny, she made a post. So Mindy Moore is her name. That's Robyn's nanny. She's also related to her. Back in the days, whenever they were in the cul-de-sac and Mindy lived with them and did all that. The original Facebook post was posting a picture of Christine on the couch with Robyn, and she was telling Robyn how it broke her heart she got a nanny, and Robyn was sitting there with her mouth open looking like a dumbass. Anyway, Mindy responded with this. Well, let's just be clear. TLC and the production company wanted the wives to have caretakers for their small kids so that the wives could be more available for filming scenes together without kids. TLC actually paid her, but she says she also got paid by the Browns as well, but it wasn't even half of what TLC paid her. She said there's no way they would have been able to film as much as they did without her there. She says, I personally didn't want to take on more than Robyn's kids because parenting styles were different and I didn't want to get caught in the middle of one mom wanting one thing and another mom wanting something different. They all had paid help for their kids from TLC. This narrative actually pisses me off. Each one of them went on to tell me how grateful they were when I came around because it opened up filming schedules. There is no way once they started their TV show that any of the moms could have really taken on a big role of taking care of other kids. They were way too busy with filming and then all the stuff that came with having a bunch of kids in all age ranges. There's just no way any of them could have really taken on that role. Once they become TV famous, there was a little time outside of filming and their immediate family needs such as birthdays, trips, other parties, and holidays, extracurricular activities, homework, literally could not have been accomplished without her around to help out and the other help, which is up to them to tell their stories. And she says, also, I was originally part-time and it was me that said I had need full-time hours or I need to find work somewhere else. I pushed for the full-time job. They didn't want to lose me, so they used me for any childcare and personal assistant type jobs they needed so that I could have the hours and paycheck I needed. Everyone can just shut the F up about the role I played and assuming so much. Much of your theories are so far off base. It's actually comical and infuriating at the same time. So I got lots to say about that. You know, Christine's famous quote, what does the nanny do? She is not talking about what the nanny actually does as far as childcare and what Robyn does and all that. She's talking about what does the nanny do to be able to come in and out of Kody and Robyn's house during COVID. So she is not making fun of them for having a nanny. She is wanting to know what is done to be able to get her kids into Kody and Robyn's house. Because if they let a nanny come in and out, why can't her children come in and out? She was upset about a double standards of roles and why it was okay for one person and not another person. And when Christine made that comment that I was upset that you got a nanny, there are many times that we can point out that they weren't filming and Robyn did not have her kids over there. Where did Robyn's kids go when they went on that 11-day honeymoon? Where did they go? There was no nanny at that time. She sent them to her mom's house. She did not leave them with Christine. And you never see the other childcare that Janelle had or Christine had. They're saying that TLC wanted them to have nannies, but you don't see anything like that. You don't really see a full-time live-in nanny with Janelle or Christine. But when she says things like, I personally didn't want to take on more than Robyn's kids because parenting styles were different and I didn't want to get caught in the middle. So that tells you right there that they had wildly different parenting types and that Robyn did not agree with the parenting style. And that's why she had her in the first place, because she wanted her kids taken care of a certain way, not like the other Brown kids. I imagine TLC did pay for childcare while they were filming, but it was not that often enough that you needed a live-in nanny. It was not. Like even when you were going and looking for houses in Vegas and you were coming back in to the house for Meri's 40th surprise birthday party, Robyn was coming back in with her kids. Remember when she kicked that dog? That was then. She had her kids, she had picked them up from somewhere else. Why were they somewhere else? So there's lots of times that she could have had Christine and Janelle watching her kids, but she just didn't want to. And it's because of what she says here, because parenting styles were different. And it was such a huge issue with her. And that's why she had nannies. And that's why she didn't want Christine watching her kids. So I know she was trying to put us in our place with that post, but she basically just confirmed a lot of what we said. A lot of what we said. She still had nannies, even when all the kids were in school. So, and even during COVID, when everybody was at home and they were self-filming, why do you need a nanny? Why do you need a nanny if you're self-filming and your kids are older than 10? Why do you need a nanny? And this is another point. They need to ask them directly their thought process of why they originally divided the land the way they did. What was your thought process? And was Janelle a part of that? Because it was so odd the way they divided that land. Names all over the place. 2, 3, 4 people on one plot, 2 people on another plot. Meri only had like a 14th. They don't ask them straight out, why? Why did you do that? We all know that it was probably because it was showing Kody and Robyn having 70% of the land. So they would be able to afford big houses and show that they have more assets than what they really do. I'm sure that's one of the reasons why they wanted their name on most of it. And it very well may have been they were upset with Meri, and because Janelle did have 4 acres. And we need to outright ask them, why is nobody saying, answer the damn question? Why did you do it like that? What was your thought process? If they don't answer questions, TLC has the power to cut them off. I don't understand why they don't look Kody and Robyn in the eyeballs and say, look, your contract is up next March or whatever it is. We're not going to renew it unless you answer these questions. And they don't do stuff like that. And then cut them off because you know what's going to happen immediately. Their house of cards is going to fall. They're going to go bankrupt. And we can start a show about Kody and Robyn living in a tent with nothing but vacant-eyed dolls for company. I mean, there are things that can be done. I don't know why we are catering to these people. They have years of footage and they have years of cut scenes. Why don't they use that? When Robyn straight up lies and says, I'll be the big fat rock in the way, why don't they say, hey, all 3 of them already signed. They were already ready to sell. And when they straight up look in the camera and lie, why don't they immediately play the footage for that and say, no, you said this. And what about the time that you said this? Because there's hundreds of occasions where they were talking and contraindicated something that they had said in previous seasons. Like even when Kody was talking about I never loved them, show him and Meri in the closet and, you know, giving each other love looks. Or the time that he was standing in Meri's driveway and said, she's my soulmate. Why don't you show him that? And this is another thing. I know I told y'all Janelle is my sacred cow, and she still is. She still is. Whatever happens, I'm still going to think she had the best intentions. But you've got to understand her mindset about Meri. Meri has only ever held like little part-time jobs, even when she only had 1 child. And she could have worked more, but she didn't. Meri was a total B to her. I mean, almost verbally abusive to her in the early years. You've seen many, many times that they have talked about that. Janelle has cashed in her 401k. She said when they first moved to Vegas, she was concerned about how she was going to feed her kids. But Meri's still insisting on renting this huge house because Meri's had this mentality of take care of me, take care of me, take care of me. And Janelle has been taking care of her. So when it comes to this land and the way it's divided, I don't know if Janelle was a part of that or not. But I do know this. She went to Meri and said, look, my name is on a good portion of the land. I'm getting my share, but you're not going to get your share. You should probably get a lawyer. Because at the end of the day, if they had done a backdoor deal or whatever and it was sold, Janelle would have got her part. And who was actually stealing Meri's money? It wasn't Janelle. Janelle was not stealing any money. She was only going to get her part. It was Kody and Robyn. So I don't know why everybody's mad at Janelle. She is taking care of business. Her name is where it should be. She's getting enough of it. She's got the proper percentage. So why is everybody mad at Janelle? She told Meri, look, they're going to screw you. Because ultimately, who's going to screw her? Kody and Robyn. Because they're the ones that have their name on all this land, not Janelle. Not Janelle. She had a portion that was hers. And she's like, look, I got mine. They're going to screw you. You need to get a lawyer. So she was trying to help her, but I don't think she has it in her to try to fight for Meri. I don't think she wants to fight for Meri. And I don't think she should have to fight for Meri because Meri has been fighting her for years and she's been supporting Meri for years and she's been putting up with Meri's verbal abuse for years. And also, well, look what happened when she told Meri to go get a lawyer because they're going to take your portion. Because that's what's going to happen. They were going to take her portion. Janelle wasn't going to take her portion. So everybody's mad at Janelle. And Janelle's like, no, I got mine. You're about to get screwed. I'm just telling you. And what did Meri do? She went right back to Kody and Robyn and said, well, Janelle told me I had to get a lawyer. So that just shows you the mentality right there. She's going to go right back to Kody and Robyn and say, well, Janelle said this. Janelle was trying to help you. And Janelle knows your history. She knows what all you've done. And if she don't want to fight for you, she shouldn't have to. Her name was on what she needed. She's just telling you and she's stepping back. So yeah, she probably said, sell it now. Give me my money. Because the persons that was actually stealing from Meri was Kody and Robyn, not Janelle. So yeah, give me my money. I don't care if Meri gets screwed or not. And I know that sounds horrible, but she told Meri to get a lawyer. She told her, you're about to get hit by a bus. You might ought to step out of the way. I'm not going to get hit. You're going to get hit. You might ought to get out of the street. No. I understand that everybody thinks that Janelle should have fought for Meri. Why? Why should she have fought for Meri? She had her portion. She told Meri that she was about to get screwed. What else can you do? She's a grown-ass woman. So, yeah, she took care of Meri for years. And she has put up with Meri's crap for years. Their relationship is theirs to own, and she knows what it is. And I feel like she did her due diligence in saying, look, Kody and Robyn have a major portion of it. They have your portion. I have my portion. They have your portion. You need to get a lawyer and take care of it. I mean, what can you do? Anyway. And if Meri says one more time, they will not silence me, and then proceed to say absolutely nothing. And Suki was like, what are they trying to silence you about? She's like, I don't know. Stop saying they will silence me and then proceed to say nothing. Say something. And I like Meri now. She has heart. She has life, but that didn't take away from who she was and what she did. Janelle can forgive, but she's not going to forget. And everybody's talking about, well, she kept saying that Meri shouldn't have the pond. Well, damn right she shouldn't. Janelle has a right to say that. Meri is very possessive about her stuff, and she's a total bee about her stuff. If you give Meri that area, she's not going to let anybody in that pond. She said it out loud because it's probably true, because it's been true for years. She wouldn't let the kids walk through her house. She said it would be freezing out. It was freezing outside, and she had to walk down these steps to get to Christine's house, and because Meri wouldn't let her walk through her house. And I understand the reasons why Meri's like, I don't want a bunch of kids running through my house. But there are exceptions, and there is common decency. I don't understand her. I don't understand it. So yeah, she may have said, don't give Meri that pond. And she had good reason. And she can say what she wants to say. If she thinks that something's going to happen, say it out loud. So, and I really do think we need podcasters to interview these people because we are the ones that have read the books, that have followed Reddit, that know about the social media, that have seen all the stupid cameos that Kody has done. Suki has just watched the show and that's it. That's not good enough. We need to get them all in the same room. And I don't understand why they're not all filming on the same couch. Every other reality show does that. TLC is giving these people way too much power. Surviving Sister Wives, Corey and Carly, they said they need to at least get them in separate green rooms and talk to them all at the same time so you can get real-time reactions and show all the reactions. So if like Kody is out there talking to Suki, you need to have Christine in a room, Meri in a room, Janelle in a room, watching him talk instead of Suki going, well, he said, and she said, and he said, and she said that your wife was submissive. She said those words. Why don't we do this at the same time? If they can't stand to even see each other, why don't they do something else like that where they can see in real time what these people are saying? There's ways to work it out, but they don't do that. It's like they don't even want to be in the same zip code at the same time. And I firmly believe that had Janelle not told Meri to get a lawyer, that Kody and Robyn would have screwed her. I think they fully intended to do that. And the only reason they didn't was because Meri got a lawyer. And why did she get a lawyer? Because Janelle told her to get one. Janelle's lawyer knew that this would go on forever and told her to push the sale. That's what a lawyer does, is they defend their client and they try to get everything for their client. So Janelle's lawyer said, push the sale. You need to get your money. And Kody and Robyn's lawyer said, get her to sign an NDA and a piece of paper that says that she's not going to ask for more money. Meri's lawyer said, don't you sign nothing. Them saying that, well, Meri said this and Janelle said that. No, their lawyer said that, and they should have said that. That's what they're paid to do, is to protect their clients' assets. So everything that they're saying is what their lawyers told them to do. Normal process. Even if you are guilty of murder, your lawyer is still going to try to get you out of it. That's their job, to get everything they can for their client. So all this stuff they act like is the original thoughts of these people, and that, oh my God, I can't believe they did that. Well, their lawyers told them to do it because it's the best thing in their interest. They protect their clients. That's what they do. So all of this stuff that's happening is because their lawyers told them to do that. And that's another thing, is that Psych Legal Pop is very good. It's got a therapist and a lawyer. And the lawyer said she looked up Arizona law. She said, in order for Kody to sell the land or do a backdoor deal without Meri, he would have had to file a partition action with the court. Now, a partition action is a legal lawsuit filed by co-owners of a property. It's a court-ordered process to separate joint interest, ensuring fairness when owners want different things, like one wanting to sell and another person wanting to keep it. So had he done this, had he tried to force the sale and handed it over to the court, they would have been like, well, let's discuss this. What money was used to pay it? Who paid what? Kody and Robyn probably would have come out on the lesser end of all that, if anything at all, because then the court would know all of your business. Kody would have never done that. Never. Kody didn't have the bandwidth to deal with that. And that process takes a while. So I don't think he would have forced the sale. Janelle was fine with forcing the sale because she was like, well, yeah, I paid what I was supposed to pay. I'm not cheating on my taxes. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I haven't stolen any money from anybody. So she was fine with forcing the sale. And this lawyer on Pop Legal Psych said that when you're dissolving a business or a relationship or a marriage, there's a paperwork. It's no further pursue. It is standard. I'm not going to pursue any more money. Robyn, we probably need to give her the benefit of the doubt. It's probably something her lawyer handed her and said, get her to sign this too. And it maybe even changed my mind a little bit about it. But the lawyer on this podcast said, yeah, that's standard. When you're dissolving anything, a relationship, a business, each person signs something saying that they're not going to pursue any more money from the other person. So all of this controversy, this is just the lawyers doing their jobs. So Kody would have never forced the sale because that meant that it would have been in the court's hands, and they would have been all up in his business. And he would not want that because they might find out some stuff. And the no further pursue paperwork and the NDAs is pretty standard when you're dissolving a relationship or a business. So I think we are getting too excited about nothing. So I don't think that none of this was personal. It just became personal the minute that Kody was unfair. You know what I mean? The minute he planned on taking more than his fair share, that's when it became personal. And he's getting so mad at these friends for talking about him and saying they need to shut their mouths. But that's another question Suki should have asked is, okay, Meri, when your friends are talking about Kody, tell us, what were the directions from the director when they set you down and said, look, eat lunch with your friends, paint pictures with your friends, and talk about Kody? That was their directions. And Kody knows that. That's what they were told to do. And why is he so shocked and angry and yelling and screaming and confronting Meri and calling her? Why didn't Suki say, look, Meri, when you sat down with your friends, what were the directions from the director? What did he say to do? And Meri could have said, he said, well, talk about Kody. That's what we're all here for. It's a reality show. That's what they want out of you. What are they going to do? Nobody wants to hear anything but that. When that was the directions they were given in order to get a paycheck, I would ask Kody, why are you upset because the director told her to do that? What did you expect her to do? Those are just some key points. I know they're all over the place, but that's what I took away from this whole tell-all. We're all upset because they did this stuff, and at the end of the day, they were told to talk about Kody by the director. They were told by their lawyers to get people to sign stuff or to not sign stuff. And they were told by their lawyers, you need to push for this sale so you can get your money out of it. They were all told to do this, and we're making a huge dramatic scene and getting all upset about it. But that was their job. This is a reality show. This is their paycheck. They pay these lawyers to protect their assets. And so when they say things like that, that's what they're doing. They're protecting your assets. They don't care about anybody else. The other people aren't paying them. You're paying them. So anyway, so let's get into it. Robyn says, we're headed to Scottsdale, Arizona to do one of the interviews. And they show the house that they're going to interview in. And Ace and Caitlin, they had a lot of information about this show. They said that house was for sale, that the couple who owned it was recently divorced. And it looks like some sort of business. It doesn't look very homey. It didn't look like a house, but it's a house. You see Kody walking out the door. There's two metal angels by the door. These angels are metal art done by John Benedict, and he sells his stuff out of Sedona, Arizona. And it's called Hera, Hera, and they are worth $2,400 a piece. And Ace and Caitlin says they don't even have any visitors. Who's going to look at it? It's really just for the FedEx man and the UPS driver. And I like them. I think they're pretty, but they're $2,400 a piece by that door. Kody has two big purple luggage bags, and I know Robyn loves that purple. And if you look in the door as he's walking out, there's two more bags in there. Suki said this is 3 days worth of filming. Why do we have all this luggage? And they've got two coolers, and Robyn has an umbrella. And what are these coolers full of? Because it's only a 2-hour drive from Flagstaff to Sedona. So some people are speculating that maybe it's Kody's hormones that have to be refrigerated, or he's about to go to special forces. So maybe this is some special food for Kody. It's just weird to be taking two huge coolers to somewhere that's 2 hours away. And it really is kind of hard to pin if this was before or after special forces, because I really do think it was before. And Kody says, I have a special name for this. It's the CSCC, Chicken Shit Chit Chat is coming. It's the chicken shit chit chat. And it shows Kody, he's walking out again, and he's got 6 hangers full of clothes, suits, different suits, 6 of them. He says, well, I don't know what I'm going to wear yet. And why are they filming in the rain? They are so dead set on not filming in that house. You're making the camera crew stand outside. And for somebody who doesn't like to play girl games, you've got 6 different outfits and luggage everywhere. That's not very manly. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And Kody says, every year it seems like it's harder than the year before. It feels like it's constantly swimming upstream, and I'm tired of the antagonistic discussion. I'm tired of throwing the accusations at each other. It's a form of backbiting and backstabbing, and I want to stop because we have begun a forgiveness, I hope, and I don't want to undo that. And right now it is very fragile. And then it goes to Jen and Meri. They're walking out of a store, and Meri almost hits her head on this hanging pot flowers, and they laugh about that. And Meri says, okay, I'm excited that you're coming. Like, it's going to be so much fun. And Jen says, well, I just have to be cautious about like toeing the line, making sure I don't say more than what you're comfortable with me saying. If I went all out and blurted what I wanted to say, I'd probably blow up half the freaking world. Then there's repercussions. And Meri said, from who? Jen says, I don't know. You're usually like, oh, you're going to hurt somebody's feelings. We care about people. Meri said, well, until this past week, I cared about people. Jen said, well, is that dead now? Meri said, no, I still care about people. He goes to Christine. Christine says, I'm excited this time to go in. They're talking about the one-on-one. And David says, I think it's going to be about Kody's apology. And does that apology mean anything if there's no action? No. So we'll just see actions speak louder than words to stop doing the stuff you're doing. Quit saying you're sorry. Just stop doing it. That's all I've ever asked. Just move forward. If you recognize it's bad, then just stop doing it. And they go to get into the side by side. And David said, this will be my third one-on-one, and I'm hoping to get to speak a little bit more because whenever Suki asks me a question, Christine butts in and starts talking. And they get in the side by side and they like drive around the block. They're like, this is loud and this is hot. We're not doing this. Get back in the truck. So I don't know exactly where their house is, but I know that it's a few hours away. So I think that would have been miserable to ride in that side by side. They go home and they get in the truck. Goes back to Jen and Meri. Jen says, have you even talked to him since the apology? Meri says, yeah. Jen says, why? Meri says, well, he called me again to apologize for yet another thing. Jen said, what the hell was that? Meri said, the one where he apologized for the conversation that he and Janelle had about trying to sell the property out from under me. Jen says, I don't understand. If he was going to try to sell the property out from under you and then didn't succeed in doing so, why would he then apologize? Meri said, I don't know. And Jen said something very smart here. She said, I feel like it's a throw Janelle under the bus before she can throw me under the bus type situation. Appreciate Jen that she recognized this was possible strategy. I like that. For somebody that talks about girl games, does that not sound like a girl game to you? Him calling up Meri and saying, look, she's going to say this and I'm going to apologize for that right now. I'm getting ahead of it right now because that's not what happened. That's a girl game to me. Janelle and Maddie, it shows them. And Janelle is leaving. She's got one little suitcase and a purse, and Maddie walks out on the porch with her. Janelle says, I'm traveling to do the one-on-one. I love these. Can you tell these are my favorite part of the year? And I thought she was serious, and then she says no one ever, because I don't think she is serious. As far as Kody's apology, I think it's genuine from where he's at. I think he just needed to apologize, and that's why I asked him if he had been on some sort of 12-step program. He was just kind of going around and making peace with everybody. I didn't even really consider it an olive branch. It was just like, let's just calm down a little bit. I'm going to say sorry for some things I did. She said, I really don't mind the one-on-ones. The one thing I do want to address is Kody started talking about how we're going to do a backdoor deal because Kody has been spinning this tale. I didn't do anything. So all I can do is just defend myself and say what happened from my perspective. And I guess everybody can do and make their own decisions. A few things here. Side-by-sides can be made street legal. I didn't realize that because I'm like, that's like riding down the road in a four-wheeler. No, side-by-sides can be made street legal. And it's a matter of getting working lights and getting a tag and all that. So he did have a tag, so his probably was street legal. And why didn't Maddie drive Janelle to the airport? Because Janelle's driving her own truck to the airport. That's odd to me because she's going to have to park it at the airport and pay for parking. And I like Janelle's truck. I think it's perfect for her. I really do. I like that color. It's the right size. It's a good truck. I like that truck. And it shows Kody walking in and he shakes Sookie's hands. And then they talk about icebreakers. I don't know, which is kind of stupid. And she asked him what his talent is. He says, I run my mouth. And Sookie says, but running your mouth is not a hidden talent. He goes, you're right. And he says, I can walk on my hands. And Sookie's like, really? He just loves to brag. He says, yeah, I can walk on my hands. And I do it because it's unique. And I also do it because it's hard to do. And he says, walking on hands is hard and not very many people can do it. Like, he just loves to play himself up. He has no shame. And then Meri makes the joke that her hidden talent is juggling personalities. And I really think Sookie didn't catch on to that joke. So, because she was asking her, how much can she juggle? And she goes, oh, multiple personalities. I don't think she got the joke. Robyn says she used to be able to break dance. It's been a long time. And Sookie said, oh, you were a B-girl? A B-girl is a young woman who is involved with hip-hop culture, especially a break dancer. So Robyn's like, I don't know what a B-girl is. I didn't know what a B-girl was either. But she said, I used to get on the floor and do crazy things and stuff like that. Cue the video of Robyn dancing. And it wasn't that bad, but it was not true breakdancing. Sookie not knowing about the handstand thing, it makes me want to put together my dream team of interviewers. Let's get Ace and Caitlin. Ace will go down rabbit holes and figure stuff out. And Ace is the one that has Kody's old car. And they know little details that would be really good. Dr. Adam, I'd get him to do it because he's very therapeutic. He's very analytical. He would be the calm one to do this. Melanie from Notes to Self 444, I think she would be a good interviewer. And maybe one of the drill sergeants from Special Forces to beat the crap out of Kody and say, sit down, answer the questions. Because, Sookie's kind of dazed. She doesn't know little details. She's not picking up on sarcasm. I don't think she really is the best one. I think she did fine, and I don't want to be mean, but they could have been better. They asked Christine if she has any hidden skills. She says, I can sing like Snow White. And what she does is this little trill in her voice. And I don't think everybody can do that. So I guess that kind of is a hidden talent. It doesn't sound awesome, but whatever. Janelle says, I can play the piano. And then when she gets home, she sends a video in and she goes, yeah, I just realized I can't play the piano anymore. And I totally understand where she's coming from. I played the clarinet for years in high school, junior high. I even played it in a church music group for a few years after that. But the other day, I pulled out my clarinet and I couldn't even get a smooth sound out of it anymore. I didn't know where the notes were. I couldn't play regular songs that I used to have memorized. If you don't use it, you lose it, you know. So I totally understand why Janelle would have said that. They're talking to Meri, and she says, all right, Meri, we've seen a lot of your BFF this year. Yes, we have. I think it's time to bring her out on the couch. And Meri says, yeah, I'm excited about this. Let's bring out Jen. And I'm glad Jen is here because Meri, I don't know if it's an NDA or what. She doesn't say much. So I think that's a loophole. And Jen can say, and she does say. Suki says, all right, let's move on to Coyote Pass. A lot of conversations culminated in the last 4 years of you guys all coming together to finalize the sale of this land. But let's take a look at this clip. It shows the clip of them not talking to each other on Coyote Pass, which I'm getting so tired of that. We all know what happened. Let's stop talking about it. She's Janelle saying that she didn't have the dream to live on Coyote Pass. Nobody really wanted to live out there. Christine didn't want to live out there. Meri would have done it if everybody else had. And it shows Robyn saying Kody mostly wants to sell. Janelle wants to sell. Meri wants to sell. It just feels wrong. I feel like I'm betraying myself and the family or something by giving in, but I feel like I'm kind of running out of choices. Janelle says, Kody called me and said, what if I put us all on the titles? I'm like, yay, let's do it. Is the sky falling? He asked me if I was open to it. And I said, well, that's good. Let's talk to Meri. And he's like, why don't you talk to Meri? And I'm like, no. Then Meri, which was kind of funny, she was making fun of Kody and says, why don't you talk to Meri? Because I'm afraid to talk to her. She's so scary. But you see Kody's reaction and he is getting furious and he's talking over the video. And I'm wondering if this is the first time they're seeing the video because he's missing it, if it is, because he's talking over it. He goes, that's not true. That's not true. Meri wouldn't even let me talk to her because he's so upset. That's one of the times that the reactions was actually helpful because that was pretty funny. Janelle says he always wants to act like he's such a victim and that everybody's so mean to him. And he has this shy, pretty wife, and she's really pretty. And they laugh. Meri says, the only wife? Is she the only pretty wife? Like, is he slamming us? Are we not pretty? And Janelle says, yeah, I think so. And then none of us were shy. So I guess that's his type, submissive, shy, and pretty, whatever. Okay, sorry. This is when she's talking to Meri and they're having a little ex-wives club. He says, well, Janelle and I are not best friends. I feel like at least I have an ally to for us to fight together for my part of the property. Robyn says, Kody and I just pulled up and Meri and Janelle are still in their cars. It was a message that we don't need to interact. And Robyn says, the speech, she says, and I love to read it. She says it exactly like this. I didn't think I don't really endorse fakeness and like, okay, let's pretend like everything's okay when it's not. And then Kody says, Robyn hates girl games. Yeah. And she reads nuance way different than me. So this stuttering and stuff, that just shows that she's got caught up and she doesn't know what to say. Suki says, what's your reaction to all this awkwardness? And Meri and Jen are laughing about what Robyn just said, which is the best. Suki says, well, what's your reaction to what you just saw? And Jen says, it's a joke. It's such a joke. And Meri says, okay, well, let's be fair. And Jen says, oh God. You know what? Yeah, just go ahead. You do that. That's fabulous. She's calling Meri out for trying to be fair all the time, which was funny. Meri said everybody has a different perspective because what we know and in whatever conversations that had been happening prior to that, we all went into it with a different perspective. And Jen said, well, bless your heart. Suki looks at Jen because she knows that Jen's going to give her some answers and says, well, tell us your story. She says, I think it's hilarious because they kind of forgot to mention that they were an hour late. It was an hour that Janelle and Meri were waiting before they showed up. So please explain to me why they should then jump out of their car to go greet them after they've been waiting for an hour, like it was some kind of sign. And I'm glad she said that. And it still upsets me. Why didn't Suki bring that up? Well, y'all were an hour late. Do you realize that may be why they weren't getting out of their car? That you were the one that was late? They're not going to cater you. You need to go apologize for being late. Suki says to Kody, do you think that maybe you and Robyn might have misread that whole situation when you got there? Kody goes, the high level of awkwardness in this wasn't mine and Robyn's to own. It was ours to share. Can't stand the way he talks. Janelle and Meri were completely awkward. They have been trashing me for a year. And Suki said, well, is that the girl games you're talking about? Kody says, yeah, that's the girl games. Girl games are going and undermining a person's character, talking with another girl about how this person's going to screw us over if we're not really careful. They were talking about me and how I was going to rob them all the time. And all I wanted was to not talk to them, mostly Meri, because it was just antagonistic all the time. She quit talking to me because I don't like Jen. But Mary's like, you go after my friends and I'm going to bury you. So I just don't care for Jen. It's verboten for me to insult Jen anymore. Using that word again. I don't care for her. And he's acting like he's being so calm. I don't care for Jen anymore. Meri wouldn't have got upset about that. He's the one that admitted to yelling at Meri over the phone and getting into her face, telling Meri that her friends need to shut their mouths. Exact words that he used. Why don't they play that back for him? He's like, well, I just said that I didn't care for her. Why don't they play this crap back? He said that on camera. Why are you downplaying it now? Just like they should play back the fact that they were an hour late. Play it on the video and go, there it is. What do you have to say about that right there? You can't say it didn't happen. You can't talk your way around it. What do you have to say about that right there? Suki says, what's verboten? And he says, well, talking about Jen. Suki said, well, who told you not to talk about Jen? Why is she asking these questions? Kody says, well, Meri will murder me if I talk about her friends. He's so dramatic. Janelle says, he used to always say, talk to Meri for me. Why don't you call Meri? Why don't you get her on board with this? Janelle says, I would ask Kody, what? Why? Kody said, well, she won't talk to me. And Janelle says, well, you need to solve that problem. I'm not going to go and run interference with you. Suki says, why did you say what you said about being submissive? Janelle says, he and I did have a lot of conversations when we were trying to work out this deal. He said, I have this shy, pretty wife who won't let me do these wrong things, and I just had to say something. Kody says, we were just trying to get Meri to agree to the agreement. Meri's not talking to me. And Janelle's like, well, why don't you have Robyn call her? He said, well, Robyn's too shy to call Meri about stuff like this. So Janelle gets home with Meri and says, oh, my wife is shy and pretty. And Suki said, well, she said the word submissive. And Kody said, Robyn's not submissive. She has a spine of concrete and steel. And Ace and Caitlin said, oh, nay, nay. The only person with a spine of steel is Isabel. You would know that if you went to her surgery. And how can you just say in one sentence that she's shy and then another sentence says she has a spine of steel? You need to pick one. Pick one, Kody. He just contradicts himself all the time. And this is the thing is like, why is Kody so mad about the word submissive? In true Christian culture, the definition of a submissive wife, particularly in religious context, is a woman who voluntarily defers to her husband's leadership, respecting his authority and decisions while still offering her own input humbly. Submissive wife is actually in the Bible. Ephesians 5:22-24, wives submit to your husband as to the Lord, for the husband is the head of the wife, as Christ is the head of the church. Now as the church submits to Christ, so also wives should submit to their husbands. So I don't understand, as religious as Robyn claims to be, why is there so much controversy over this word? Because in the Christian context, it's supposed to be a good thing. They're just using it like it's a bad word. And Suki said, well, Janelle used that word. Kody says, well, it's funny that Janelle would say Robyn's submissive when Janelle also accused Robyn of sort of brainwashing me or controlling me. It's like, what is it, Janelle? Am I Robyn's puppet or is she mine? And Kody says, we're a partnership. We negotiate through things. And he shakes his head like he just said something great. And Suki asks Janelle, she says, so do you think Robyn is submissive? And Janelle says the best thing. She says, I think you can give power to get power. And that's really what that means. Because whenever I think of the way Robyn controls Kody, she does little things like sits in a restaurant and goes, I can't cut that cheese. Can you cut that cheese for me? She can be very manipulative. She can do things to make Kody think that she just can't live without him and he needs to stay right there. He didn't need to go anywhere. And she just needs him. She needs him. She plays helpless and then she says things and he listens to her. Suki asked Janelle, Kody wonders how she can be both submissive and a puppet master. And Janelle said, I never called her that. I wouldn't call her that. I didn't call her that. I don't think he views it that way. But from an outside perspective, it does seem that she has very strong influence in his life And hey, they're married. This is a love match, a couple made in heaven, whatever. So maybe that's how it works. I don't know. And Suki says to Robyn, help me understand what girl games are. Robyn says, you don't know, which in itself is a girl game, but kind of mean. You're really going to ask me that, or do you want me to explain it to you? And Suki says, okay, I'm going to ask you and you can explain it to me. And Robyn says, okay, it's the psychological warfare. It's the stuff that teenage girls do a lot in high school. It's the backstabbing. It's the whispering behind the back. It's pretending that you're friends when you're not. You got to play these certain games in order to fit in with the girl group. It's psychological. The guys will sit and fight each other, but girls do psychological games. And it's interesting. She says here, it's like when you're pretending you're friends when you're not, like her ghosting Meri and never texting her back like that, you think? Suki said, okay, I get it. Do you feel the girl games being played during the Zoom call because they were calling you names and they used the word submissive? Robyn said, well, that's nice. I don't care. Suki says, do you think you're submissive? Robyn says, no, I think I work with my husband. Suki says, why do you think they would say that? Robyn says, I think they're just trying to figure out why Kody loves me. And she says they're just doing whatever they can to downplay me, to put me down in any way, shape, or form that they can because they're struggling with their own feelings. I don't really know why. And she keeps asking everybody about these girl games. I don't know why she has latched onto this. Meri says it's just a way for him to insult me. It's just what he wants to do. Suki says, well, during the Zoom call between you and Janelle, do you feel like that was girl games? And she said, yeah, that did feel like girl games. But they earned the right to talk about Kody. They were married to him and they can talk about Kody if they want to. They can talk about him all they want. They have that experience together. They should talk about him. And they were probably told to talk about him. So they did. Suki says to Jen and Meri, he had a really big reaction to the word submissive was used referring to Robyn. So do you feel like Robyn is submissive? And Jen says, oh yeah, yeah. I love Jen. I'm so glad she's on the show. She says, I feel like that works for Kody. That's what he wants. Follow the rules. Do what I say. Don't get out of line. And I'm sure there are times when she pushes back or stands up for herself. I'm sure there is. But ultimately, he wants submission. He wants somebody who's just going to kowtow to him. And Meri said, yeah, he didn't want somebody that's going to stand up and fight. And Suki asked Janelle about girl games. This is getting so old. Janelle does say that obviously he feels that Robyn is very good at reading nuance. Janelle says, I know Meri and I were not doing anything other than trying to get the project done. And I think Kody puts a lot of store in the nuance that Robyn reads, but I'm not sure her nuance reading is always accurate. In fact, I know it's not. And she says that he calling her submissive, he walked himself into that. And she starts laughing because he keeps saying over and over that Robyn is shy and pretty, shy and pretty, shy and pretty, which kind of equates to submissive. And then Janelle says a really good point. She goes, he definitely has called me a lot of things. He's called me a lot of things, which is true, which is a great point. He calls her the Teflon Queen. He called them sister witches. He calls Meri's friends bitches. He has said some stuff. In fact, Janelle has been there and has the t-shirts to prove it. You can go buy one. He talks about her all the time. So I don't understand why it's not fair both ways. And Meri says the ex-wives club is not a club that I really want to be a part of. We have different value systems, and I'm recognizing that more and more. And I think as adults, it's really cool to be in a place where you get to choose who we want to interact with. Suki says to Robyn, she says, so if everyone was trying to sell Coyote Pass, why do you feel like you were betraying the family? Robyn says her key phrase that she has said 15 million times, because when we bought Coyote Pass, it was a dream for the family to be out there. This is our family and was invested and wanted so much for us to be out there. And when I married Kody, I was 1,000% in it. It was all of it about us being together as a family, and I saw us out there. So it was really hard for me to give up on it, even though everybody else was. So she says she was really invested in being out there. No, she was really invested in $75,000 worth of doll clothes. That's what she really was invested in. She wasn't invested in paying off that land and building out there. So she is such a liar. Suki says to Janelle, she feels like she's betraying the family if she sells. And Janelle says, that's bullshit. I think that's just the role that she thinks she has to play. I sometimes think she says what she thinks she should say because I don't think she really feels that way. I just feel like there's a lot more. I'm supposed to be all about the family, and I'm so sad that it broke up, so I have to play this role. And she's right. Like, Robyn's trying to rewrite history and say how she should have felt the entire time and didn't. Suki asked Christine, did you ever want to live on Coyote Pass? And Christine said, yeah. I did want to live on Kody Pass. I thought that was the dream and the vision. At first, when I saw the property, I was like, look at those mountains. This is so beautiful. She makes this joke. Moving here is going to bring our family together. Not discussing things, not having conversations. God, not having trust. That's silly. Let's just go ahead and move here for the view, and it's going to fix everything. She's so funny. Sometimes that's true. And Siki says, do you feel like leaving Kody Pass on the table was the best thing that you ever did? And Christine says, I know without a doubt, yes. Yes. And David said, her sanity is worth more than money. He says, you think it was the best thing walking away? Christine says, yes, that was the best decision I had made when I left. Leaving was incredible. It was great. But deciding to just cut ties financially, everything with Kody, yeah, that's 100% the best decision ever. And Kody says, the whole thing that made me realize that I needed to go to God about how I had been with those ladies was because Robyn said, I don't like how you behaved during these transactions, this business stuff. I don't like the fact that I was having to argue with you about doing the moral and correct thing. And he says, I was getting frustrated to just sell the property and then I'll distribute the money at my convenience to them when it's. And Suki says, wait. You just said you were going to sell the property on your own and that you were going to give the funds. I appreciate Suki doing that. And he says, well, Janelle suggested that she's like, well, you can sell this out from under that I'll know you'll pay me. It was an idea. It was a concept because Janelle just wanted to get paid. She was worried about losing the buyer. And I'm like, this property is so rare that its price isn't going to go down. We might have economic trends where the buyers won't be there, but the price ain't going down. Suki said, well, let's go back to that conversation you had with Janelle and let's take a look at the clip before Kody Pass was actually sold. It shows Kody saying, we had a verbal offer and then we got a written offer, but it expired because we were still in the middle of paperwork to reassign all the property to make the four of us equal owners. After we took the offer, Janelle was worried about losing the buyer, and so Janelle is like pushing me to either comply completely with Meri's wishes or force to sell. And I got in this place where I was like, backdoor deal almost with Janelle. Hey, we'll just sell it out from under these two because Robyn was like, we're not going to mess them over. Like we should mess them over. And Robyn, she looks at me like, who are you? And Janelle, it shows Janelle saying, well, I could sell it without Meri's consent. And I'm like, yeah, well, you could. And Kody starts talking over Janelle's video now, and he says, Janelle's the one who said it. And then while she's still talking, he goes, Teflon Queen. Here, she's trying to act like this wasn't her idea. So he's talking right over her video. You can barely hear what she's saying. And so basically what they're doing here is Kody's saying it was Janelle's idea, and Janelle was saying that it was Kody's idea. And he says, Robyn said, why would you partner with her after all my loyalty? And I'm like, boy, that's effed up. And that's new information. That wasn't on the original episode. Why would you partner with her after all my loyalty? Doesn't that sound like a puppet master? It shows Robyn's clip where she says, this is bull. No, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not doing nothing. I'm not selling this land until everything is perfectly fair and we do this the right way. Right way. Sorry, I'll be the big fat rock in the way. And Kody says, there's no legal precedence for Meri's favor. Meri's getting paid from Kody Pass by my good grace, by Robyn's good grace, and by Janelle's good grace because we don't owe her the money, not legally in any way. And she's the one stonewalling the whole project. What he's saying there is he didn't owe it to her legally because he didn't put her but on 1/14 of the property, even though she put in her fair share to pay for the entire land. He's saying that he technically can steal the money from her. So this is not Janelle stealing money from Meri. This is Kody stealing money from Meri. And because he was going to own 70%, he was taking Meri's part. Janelle wasn't taking Meri's part. Kody was taking Meri's part. And he's the one that split the land unfairly. He screwed her from the beginning, told her he would fix the titles later and never did it. And Jen is upset. She's looking shocked. Suki says to Meri, what's your reaction to that? And Meri says, oh, I can't do or say my reaction on national TV. It's not appropriate. I'll be bleeped out anyway. And she does this thing where she pushes the side of her lips up and makes a smile. Just like Kody did that shit to her when he was sitting on that park bench telling her to smile and be glad she got everything. And he did his fingers like that. That's creepy crap. Creepy. Suki looks at Jen and asks her what she's thinking, and Jen starts to cry. She says, how dare they? That is so wrong. How is she not able to have her portion of the property? How dare they try to do that and go behind her back? Whoever started this whole thought process because they both threw each other under the bus, you just watched Janelle say Kody said it. Kody said Janelle said it. Whoever said it, what are they saying to her face and what are they doing behind her back is exactly why we're here today. Is exactly why you can't trust them, and exactly why the relationship wouldn't have worked because they have no problem completely cutting her out, throwing her under the bus, and letting her take just whatever she gets is what she gets. I do appreciate Jen speaking up for Meri because Meri would have never said any of that. And Suki asked Meri, "Did you know that Kody and Janelle had discussed the sale without you?" And Meri said, "I suspected the fact there was a time that I said to Jen, like, I'm sure something else is going on because Janelle is not really talking about stuff. Every time we have a conversation, she's not bringing stuff up." Jen said, "Well, why don't you ask her?" "I'm not going to ask her. I don't trust her. I'm not going to ask her. I don't think she would tell me if I did." And Kody says, "Janelle came to me with this idea that I can force the sell on this and then started pressuring me. Very typical plural marriage situation. It was like old times. It's like she's pressuring me against the other wives we need to sell. You need to make these women come into compliance." And I'm like, "You can call Meri. I can't. Why don't you talk to Meri and talk her into doing this?" And Janelle says, "I'm not doing that." She said, "Janelle wouldn't even call Meri. So we're completely stuck. She's calling me saying, 'Why don't you just sell this without Meri? You can pay her later.'" And that was a temptation only for a moment. It was backstabby of Janelle. It causes a fight with me and Robyn. And this is the thing is Janelle had already told Meri to get a lawyer. And Janelle had already said, they're going to try to screw you. Janelle's lawyer probably said, "This is ridiculous. Go get your money. Force that sale." And that's what she told Kody because Janelle has already protected her assets. She already has her portion of the land. She wants to sell it. She wants to get her money. That's the end of that. And whatever happens between Meri and Kody and Robyn is between them because Kody and Robyn are the ones screwing Meri, not Janelle. So she's like, "I'm out. I don't care about these people. Give me my damn money." So that's, I guarantee, yeah, that's a little bit mean of Janelle. But at the same time, she has earned the right to say, "Just give me my damn money. Force the damn sale. Y'all can get over this later." Kody says, "No." I was like, "You know what? If we lose the buyer, we lose the buyer." He says, "This is very normal for Janelle to come up to me and say, 'Look, I want this, I want this, I want this.'" I mean, we would move, and then he stops talking. I don't know what that means. We would move. This is what Janelle would do in our marriage. "I want this, and this, in fact, if you don't do it, I'm just going to do it myself." And I do believe this was true in the beginning. When Kody was ADD, wouldn't stay still, they owed a lot of money, they were poor. She would say, "Look, you need to do this, or I'm going to do this." But I think when they started getting money and they lived in separate houses, that totally changed. Totally changed. So that may have been true in the beginning, but it was for productive, good reasons because she was trying to focus your ADD ass when she says things like, "I'm just going to do it myself if you don't do it." And Janelle says, "Look, all I can do is be responsible for what I know," I said. "I can't be responsible for how they perceived or what they think." Suki says here, "This is why I don't understand because right here it looks like you and Meri are working together to get Coyote passed through and to make sure that it was fair. So what changed? And did you go behind her back with Kody?" And Janelle says right here, "No, my lawyer had said you might want to consider trying to force the sale to go through." And I told Kody that's what he said, and I had been advised that, but that I really wanted to try to make this work. She was doing what her lawyers told her to do. Why are they putting this all on Janelle? That's crazy. And Suki says to Meri, "Do you think if the sale was forced the way Janelle and Kody were planning to do it, that they would have gotten what they deserved? It would have been all fair and equitable, that everybody would have gotten exactly what they got?" And Meri says, "No, I don't think so. I think Kody and Janelle were trying to kick me out somehow." No, I think that Janelle wanted her share and she wanted to be done. I think that's all. And that she was going to let you fight your own battles with Kody and Robyn. I think that's what it was. She was not trying to kick you out at all. She wanted her share that was already on the land that was already separated. Suki asked Christine, "What do you think about this whole thing?" And Christine said, "That's messed up. It's completely ridiculous. It's a business transaction that we made. The way the names were all put on the property was really stupid, but that was just done." And then Janelle goes on to explain the way the property was split up. Meri says, "I'm only legally a third of the owner of one of the four parcels. I will not sign anything about the sale of a property if my name was not on the pieces of property it should be on." And Christine said, "Meri only have one of the pieces of the property. That's just messed up." And then he says that she'll get paid out of Kody's good graces. And then he said she'll get paid out of Robyn's good graces, but legally they don't have to. Christine said that is bullshit. And David says, "That's an ego. You don't call that an ego? That's an ego." And Suki says to Kody, "Janelle said her name also had her name on more parcels or property in Kody Pass. And Kody said that was Janelle's bidding. We were doing it all. Janelle had said, we can't trust Meri. I don't think she should be on more than this property. Janelle is the one who's managing the books. She's the one that knew that we could pay down on Coyote Pass. She was the one that said, this is how it should be. That's how I remember it. She's going to deny it. And he says that every time he's lying. And how many times did Janelle said, look, I know we had the money to pay this off. Why isn't it paid off? Janelle wasn't responsible for any of that. Kody was responsible for all that. He says, that's how I remember it. She's going to deny it. Just like he said that Meri didn't make eye contact with me out on Coyote Pass, but she's going to deny it because he's lying. He's lying. Lying just comes so easy to him. Like he can just rewrite history. Kody says, Janelle plays me all the time because I loved her and might steal, which is interesting, and says, I want her approval. Yeah, that's my mistake. My bad. When she calls, I start jumping. When Meri calls, I get scared of the call. It's just the difference in the relationship. Like Janelle wants me to do something and I feel obligated to do it. And Meri's calling. I'm afraid of what she's going to behave like. He's going back and forth because he literally just 5 minutes ago said that he wasn't scared of Meri. And right here he says, when Meri calls, I get scared of the call. Pick one, Kody. Pick one. Why didn't Suki say, look, you just said that you're scared of the call, but a minute ago you said you weren't scared of Meri. And then finally we get to the good stuff. Janelle says, what is so interesting is Kody, the first time around, the written offer. Kody, Meri, and I had completed the title work signatures within a week. I sent in the checks to the title company so no one would balk about paying for the fees. And the contract was about to expire, and Robyn pops up and says, I'm not going to sign my part unless you guys sign this confidentiality agreement and this hold harmless, meaning that Meri couldn't take out any more action for her to get her money back, and that we would all be like confidential. We wouldn't talk about this agreement. All of a sudden, we were scrambling. So Robyn hadn't chimed in at all the entire 6 weeks. 2 months, almost 2 months. At the very end, she comes in with a completed document for us to sign. So it felt like a total power play. So the deal expired. Thank God they renewed it. And Kody was again like, you got to talk to Meri. You got to talk to Meri. Meri was at the point that she was working through her lawyer. And this is things that we have speculated about, that we thought, well, this is what happened and this is what happened. And she just outright said it there. Robyn was the one holding it up, and she wasn't going to sign it unless Meri signed the NDA and hold harmless agreement. And Meri said, I'm not going to sign that. And you know why she wasn't going to sign it? Because her lawyer told her not to sign it. Because they owe Meri way more money than they're trying to pay her. And Suki says, so what else were they trying to put in this contract? And Meri said, oh, it was all about silencing me. It's all about confidentiality. Suki says, what do you mean? And Meri says, I don't know. They didn't want me to talk, and I couldn't figure out why. So when they say Meri was stopping it, Meri was stopping it. Damn right I was stopping it because I'm not going to be silenced. There you go. I just said it. Jen said, good job. And Meri said, I will not be silenced anymore. And I don't think that he likes that. And so he is blaming me, and he is saying, Meri is stopping this because I'm not going to sign a contract that he tells me to be quiet for no reason. I had no reason to be silenced, and I didn't know why they kept putting that in there. It made no sense to me. The thing about this is, I told y'all, Psych Legal Pop, the lawyer on this, said that anytime you're dissolving a relationship or a business, these NDAs and hold harmless documents where Meri can't pursue any more money, that can be standard procedure. And Meri said, I'm not going to sign it, and because her lawyer said not to sign it. I can understand both points of view, but at the same time, it's like, wait, is that what their lawyer gave them? Is it really all that malicious? What's malicious is Robyn holding out for 2 months after everybody else signed. That's fishy as hell. Fishy as hell. She was doing that so Meri would sign it. And so that's malicious. That's a girl game right there. You know, that's a big old game right there. Instead of Suki saying, well, Janelle, did your lawyer say that you needed to try to force the sale so you can get your portion? And Kody, did your lawyer give you that NDA and that hold harmless? Meri, did your lawyer tell you not to sign anything? Why are we getting so dramatic and upset about it, all this? And it goes to the next time on, and it looks like they're going to talk about the catfishing incident and how Robyn was involved. That would be very interesting because the catfisher knew personal details about Meri and like what she was wearing and the fact that she just checked her mail and all this other stuff. Yeah, Robyn was involved in that. I hope they really get into it. I hope they hold her to the fire and figure something out. But that's really all that was interesting on the next time on. I think my tell all question would be for Janelle. And let's just be honest, Janelle. Let's just say what we're truly feeling because I don't think that many people are going to judge you. Why don't you just look at the camera and say, look, I told Meri to get a lawyer. All of this is between Kody, Robyn, and Meri. It's not between me. I've got my portion. I don't care. And I'm sorry if that makes me sound heartless, but I told her to go get a lawyer. It's not my fight. It's not my circus. It's not my monkeys. That's your money over there with Kody and Robyn. So you need to handle it. And I'm out. I'm out. I'm 3,000 miles away in North Carolina with my family. Just say it. Just tell it like it is. Just tell it like it is. Yeah, my lawyer said to force the sale. Just own it, girl. Just own it. Just say it. Like I told Meri to protect herself. I told her not to stand in the middle of the road. She was about to get hit by a bus, but I can't do anything else. I'm not getting hit by the bus. She's getting hit by the bus. And the relationship we have together is not ride or die. Meri has treated her like crap for years and was verbally abusive to her for years. So yeah, Janelle doesn't care. Doesn't care. And I know that sounds awful, but why should she? Why should she? That part of her life is over, and she told Meri to protect herself. What else can she do? What else should she do? She didn't plan to have any future relationship with these people, so just move on and just tell the truth, Janelle. Just tell the truth. Just be like, yeah, I told him to force the sale. I told Meri to get a lawyer, and these issues are between Kody, Robyn, and Meri, not me. So they can deal with it. Why does she have to forsake everything and ride or die for Meri? Because Meri never did that for her. Just be honest, Janelle, because we would totally understand. What would have happened had she not told Meri to go get a lawyer? Meri would have never been told otherwise that she had more rights or anybody to legally help her. So Janelle did her a favor, and that's all she was obligated to do is tell her what was going on and move on.
That's it for today. If you like my podcast, please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to reach me, you can always reach me at redflagrewatch@gmail.com. Thank you for joining me today. See you next time.
What did the plumber say to the singer? Nice pipes. Nice pipes. What's brown and sticky? A stick. Why do vampires always seem sick? Why do vampires always seem sick? They're coughing. They're coughing. Which state has the most streets? Rhode Island. Rhode Island. What do you call a fibbing cat? What do you call a fibbing cat? A lion. A lion. All right. You're welcome. See you next time.